Okay, so now I'm going to explain the basic pumping of the heart. And it's not as simple as just relaxing and contracting. There's multiple phases that happen in this process. So you first have diastole, which is the period of ventricular filling and relaxing. And then you have systole, which is the period of ventricular contraction. And there's many different parts within these. So I'm going to start with diastole and then move chronologically across. So the first thing you have in diastole is your isovolumic relaxation, which is when all your valves are closed and your ventricle is relaxing, which is starting to create a very large pressure difference across the AV valve. So that's where you'll have your biggest phase of decrease in ventricular pressure, which is important to know. And then after that, this pressure difference eventually allows the AV valve to open, which is when you have rapid filling of the ventricle. So the blood from the atrium is now going to rush into the ventricle. Then you have diastasis, which is where blood is moving directly from the veins through the atrium and into the ventricle. And then lastly you have atrial systole, which is when your atrium contracts to just squeeze out that last little blood that's left in there into the ventricle. Then you move on to systole, which is the period of ventricular contraction, which first begins with isovolumic contraction, which is now when your ventricle contracts, but the valves are still closed. So it's creating a very high pressure within that ventricle, which is why you have your biggest phase of increase in ventricular pressure at that point. And then, once the pressure in that ventricle reaches a high enough point, it will cause the semilunar valve to open, which is when you will get ejection, which is when the blood will move out of the ventricles into the vessels.